Hello and welcome to the Gardening Channel. I'm your host Mike Ventura. Certainly my pleasure to have you with us. So on today's program, we're going to be talking about just the introduction into drip irrigation. And I know on several of my presentations, I've talked about drip irrigation. On this presentation, we're just going to talk about setting it up and the different types of systems that are out there and what you need to be aware of when setting up a drip irrigation system. So first of all, let's take a look at what we have. There's several different types of drip irrigation. One is called netafim, N-E-T-A-F-I-M. The other is called microtubing. And so when you're going to go through and start taking a look at the type of drip irrigation you're going to put in, a couple of things you want to keep in mind. First things first is if you're going to have these one valve that if it irrigates a lawn area and you're also going to put drip irrigation system, that may not be the best road to go, because if you take a look at the spray heads that put the water out for the lawn area, that spray head can put up to 1.5 gallons per minute on a spray head. When I'm talking about spray head, I'm talking about the heads come up and they put the water out in a spray-like pattern. When you're working with drip tubing, a drip irrigation system, that puts the water down at a much less rate. Now you can always adjust the amount of output, but on drip tubing, it literally is much less water because you're concentrating the water in a concentrated area right at the base of the plant. Or like in one system, which is called netafim, N-E-T-A-F-I-M, that's got small little individual water ports along the tubing, but again, it's putting the water out at a very, very small drop as compared to a spray head. The reason I'm bringing this up is because let's say you choose to go out there and put your drip irrigation system on the same valve that runs the spray head irrigation for your lawns. You may find out that you're going to stress the plant material out because the irrigation run time on a spray head system, let's say you're running for 10 minutes and you're running it for 3 days a week, which is 30 minutes of irrigation, that may not be enough water because of this limited amount of output that's coming out of the tubing or going through the netafim system to give enough water for the plant. And so consequently, it's always a good idea to put the drip tubing on its own irrigation valve. Then what you can do is you can go ahead and from the controller, set up the irrigation run time just for the drip irrigation system. It works very, very efficiently. So if you want to go ahead and run the irrigation system several times a week to get enough water down there, because again, a lot of this is based on the ability of your soil to handle moisture. When you're irrigating with a drip irrigation system, you're concentrating the water in a very concentrated area right down at the base of the plant, going directly into the root zone. So you may not have to run irrigation or your drip irrigation system that long as compared to if you're going to have it on a spray head irrigation system because you're applying a lot of water. Also, as I talked about, because the drip system works very, very well for the integrated pest management program, because you're concentrating the water in an area right at the base of the plant, your likelihood of reducing your weed population increases dramatically because you're keeping that area around, adjacent to the plant dry and you're putting it right where it's at. The big thing I really want to encourage you is go to your local hardware store, home improvement center, take a look at the different types of drip irrigation that they have, whether it be netafim, microtubing, soaker hose. These are all different types of drip irrigation, how they can be implemented, and more importantly, how you set them up. I firmly believe it's best to have your drip system on one valve, and that way you can really set the system up. You can run the microtubing if you choose to use microtubing to each individual plant. You'll find also that on some of these drip irrigation systems, you can actually bury the system in the soil or put it directly on top of the soil, and it gets held down with a little staple. If it's in the case of the microtubing, there's like a little plastic insert that goes into the ground and actually holds the microtubing right next to the plant. So they're very, very easy to set up. The big issue here is your irrigation run time, because drip irrigation, you put out a lot less water in gallons per minute as compared to spray head. So you really want to be aware of that when you're setting up your irrigation run time through the controller. Very, very important. So what I suggest now is that because we haven't gotten into the growing season, take a look and see how much of your landscape you want to put on drip irrigation, whether it be the vegetable garden or if you have a lot of shrubs, you want to put them on drip irrigation system, because drip irrigation is very, very good for water efficiency. It does a great job for it, But you want to see where you're going to set it up and how much different types of irrigation, as far as the drip irrigation you want to use, whether it be the netafim, the microtubing, soaker hose, which type of drip irrigation you want to go with. So this is a very good time of year to kind of get yourself familiar with what you want to set up the garden like, where you have the spray head irrigation system, and where you want to put the drip irrigation system. Okay, so on this presentation today, again, we were just talking about setting up drip irrigation, points you want to be aware of, and the different types of drip irrigations that are out there available to you. Okay, so thank you again for tuning in to the gardening channel. It's always my pleasure to have you with us, and go enjoy the garden. Thank you very much.